Adam, sis, how are you doing today?
I am well. So good to be here with you today, Brother Burton.
It's always a joy to connect for sure, for sure. Um, I'm here to talk with you a bit about Black girls breathing. I saw that you were getting involved, and I was so excited to see that. It just sounds like such a wonderful, and resonant with, your life's work. So, how did you first come across Black girls breathing, and what was it that specifically drew you to the work?
Yes. So I came across Black Girls Breathing at a time when my health wasn't the best. I was going
Mhm.
through cancer and was in chemotherapy, and someone gifted me a session. It was right after the pandemic, and Jasmine Marie, who was the perpetrator of the practice and the website, was doing sessions called Sunday Balm,
Mhm.
and you could log on and be with other women, and she was teaching us how to relate, relax, release is the way I say it. Like it
Mhm.
used to be
Yeah,
on
yeah.
who's my show?
That Cosby Show, what was that?
Was it Cosby Show? It's one of those
Shows from the 90s, late 80s,
one of
one of them
those
joints.
living single, one of
It
those
was Living Single. It was Living
living
Single.
single.
Yes, yes, it
I think
was.
I found
That's right.
inner regime. It's like trying to get the and I think I'd heard of them a little bit during the pandemic, but never actually connected with the online presence.
Mm-hmm.
But when I logged on, it was such an amazing space virtually.
Hmm.
And I was enthralled with this young woman who was making it her life's work to make sure that everyone, but particularly Black women, knew how to stop and breathe. And
Love
I
it.
thought, well, we all know how to breathe. But what I learned from her in that one
Come
session,
on.
no, we don't.
Right.
We don't.
Absolutely. So what about, you know, well, I introduced you as Reverend Adams, so I gotta talk
Mhm.
about the spiritual aspect of it. Like talk about like the spiritual and even emotional importance of this mission, like to help and teach people how to breathe.
Because it's about the whole self. I think
Mhm.
about everything that has breath. Let us, praise the Lord. And I think about how often we don't think about breathing.
Right.
And almost take it for granted. Like it's, we do, it's automatic. But the way we breathe is usually not in fullness. We don't
Mm.
breathe. We don't take the deep breaths. We don't take time to stop and smell the roses, as they used to say.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
don't
yeah.
take time to rest our bodies, which is
Hmm.
really Jasmine's part of her mission. Because when we don't do that, then we're not regulated. Our nervous system is not regulated.
Come
Because
on.
let me tell you, I just went through her training session. She took us through about 13 weeks of training,
Hmm.
3 hours every Saturday, small group work, and um, studying the parasympathetic
Hmm.
and sympathetic nervous systems. And that sounds really heady, but it was really connecting the heart and the head, getting us to think about with intentionality how we show up, how we feel in our bodies, how we breathe. Because
Hmm.
when we are not in the fullness of ourselves and our physical body, it detracts from the spirit.
Yeah, yeah. And staying in that same spiritual space, like there's so often where people are trying to be on their path, trying to live into their destiny, their calling, and they're distracted by all these things that exhaust them and wear them down, and it detracts and takes you away from exactly where you're supposed to be.
Yeah,
Rest is a requirement, to your
it
point.
really is. I mean, from the creation story, God rested.
Come on.
So if God takes rest and we, and there's, we talk the preparation in the evening before you go into something, there's
Hmm.
intentionality and there's
Yeah.
time to pull back and rest. But what I think we know, but what Jasmine has also found in her research is we are so hyper focused on being and doing.
Hmm.
We don't even do the things that bring us joy with full intention. We don't
Right.
go into it with our body and our spirit. We're almost mechanical with it. So she entered breath work through the traditional methods and was finding that it was not working for her and her body
Hmm.
and thought she was broken.
Yeah.
So she began to do research around trauma in the Black body. And
Hmm.
that's what she
Hmm.
discovered because of the trauma that we passed on the epigenetic level, cellular
Yeah.
trauma is passed on the cellular
Right.
level for us as Black folks and other marginalized folks as well.
Mm.
We come into this world with trauma, and a refreshing breath doesn't always feel refreshing because when we start doing
Mm.
breath work, we start releasing trauma in our
Ooh.
body and cells, and stuff comes up.
Yeah.
So it may not feel refreshing like someone else feels.
Come
You may
on.
start crying.
Yeah. Yeah.
You may feel ancestors tugging.
Ooh.
You may have tension. Sometimes I do breath work, will leave feeling fine. The next morning I get up and I just feel this swell. I go into prayer with God. Like what is going on? It's my body
Hmm.
responding to being regulated because it is so used to being unregulated.
Right.
Regulation feels like a strange land.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You say so much right there, and I just think about all that people carry on a regular basis. Just the stories, the trauma, just like compounding interest of all that. It just it's such a an unfortunate and dare I even say unnecessary burden. It makes me think about, I believe it's Toni Morrison who talks about racism being a distraction and all that could have been accomplished if we weren't having to spend so much energy fighting for what should be the default. Like I'm fighting to get back to like the default setting, the way that God sees me. Why am I fighting for that?
Exa- Exactly. Exactly. And that's, I mean, a lot of the reason that I went into the work, I was curious because I've tried
Hmm.
different types of meditation and breath work that didn't quite work for me.
Hmm.
And when I saw that Javelin was offering this training session, because
Hmm.
she's been doing this for years, she
Hmm.
has contracts with some really big names. So she doesn't just do, Black women, but that's her focus.
Hmm.
She has contracts with some really big sports companies and things that
For
she
sure.
does work with. But she decided, she's like, I'm going to bring in some other women to do this with me. And so there was an application process. And I think I applied the last day. And I was like, I'm just going to
Yeah.
see. We're going to see. She took in about 200 applications and ended up doing 18 of us in this intensive 100-hour training. And which
Yeah.
culminated with us being in Atlanta together for our testing weekend, right?
Hmm.
But when I saw what she was offering, and I began to sit with the political landscape in the country. This was after the election, before the new administration had come into being.
Right.
But I began thinking, we need this. We need the space and time to breathe. And if I can be a vessel, Lord, to help other people breathe, let me be it. And I was thinking about my students that I work with. I was like, oh, this is going to be so hard for them. So I went in with the intention of helping somebody else. But don't you know what God said, baby? You need to breathe. How are you going to help somebody else breathe?
Come
You need
on.
to breathe. And that worked. The first time, Chris, I did a deep breath work practice under Jasmine's training.
Hmm.
I did, it was the first long session, like 30 minutes. I ended up in tears. I could feel my ancestors. I could feel my mother. I could feel
Goodness.
my grandmother, both who passed from cancer. I could feel all the anxiety that I've been carrying, all the tension that I've been carrying because I'm a survivor and they died.
Yeah.
30 minutes of just sitting and breathing, called the oceanic practice. That's what she taught
Wow.
us first. And so my spirit connected with my body in a way that has not been normal.
Yeah. How
It's
do
changed the
you?
way I pray, even.
I believe it. How do you deal with like the mental health aspect of that? Because like as you said, you're bringing up so much stuff. How do you all provide or account for the mental health aspect of it in a way that's culturally responsive and affirming?
Absolutely. So Jasmine is so intentional. So she was so specific in the people that she chose for this program, and I hope she does it again. Many of the folks I went through the program with were our counselors, and then me and a couple other women have a spiritual grounding and coaching. And so we talk about how we set up the space to do the breath work, how we talk to people, how we react, how you touch or don't touch people, how you talk to people about the way their bodies can react, and how you sit with people and refer out. So I now have about 12 women who went through the program who are licensed clinicians, and some of them in my DC
Wow.
area. So I
Yeah,
have the ability to refer people as well, because it's
makes sense.
challenging. And part of what we talked about is the people that we bring into these conversations. I've done it with a couple of different groups, and you'll be in different places, but it is unethical and irresponsible to enter a trauma informed breathwork practice without expecting that there's going to be resurgence of trauma and
Of
not being
course.
prepared to shepherd someone. So while
Right.
I'm equipped to do pastoral counseling, a deeper counseling would be a referral.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. And I was just having a conversation the other day in terms of understanding that, our work in ministry is a part of an ecosystem of care, and just understanding there are going to be things that I can deal with in a pastoral way, but then there also are things where I'm gonna have to call in that person who's been trained in another field.
Yep.
So thank you for lifting that up for sure.
Yes.
You mentioned the way it affects how you've prayed. Like talk to me a bit about not only the ways in which it's affected your prayer, but just like the spiritual practices and meditation that you
Mhm.
see sort of like overlapping with your breathing practice.
Definitely. So there were times I would enter prayer, mm, let's be honest, which is a little vulnerable, and I would get into the rote. Like I would do it to be doing it.
Yeah.
I knew God heard me. Um, but I would say my most powerful prayers came when I was going through chemo, and I didn't even have to say all the words. I just
Come
called
on.
called His name,
Yes.
and that was a different vulnerability. And I
Yeah.
was really afraid I was slipping back to a place where I was going to be almost performative.
Yeah.
And the breath work centers me. And so if I am in a prayer position or trying to talk to God and I feel like I can't hear,
Mhm.
or I even start to question if God is hearing me, the breath work helps to center me.
Yeah.
It regulates my system, and there's different patterns that we can use, and I kind of experiment with what makes sense where. For me,
Mhm.
inhale, hold, and release that Jasmine teaches, but it's significant because you inhale through the nose, you hold and you release, but you do not count like so many other breathwork facilitators tell you to do. Because when you're counting, she has
Mhm.
taught us, it is easy for those of us who get called in kind of a type A, just check it off and do it. You're
Yes.
focused on the counting and not on the breathing.
Come on.
So your mind will just be on that.
That
Now,
is
your
so
mind
real.
is less likely to drift away because you're focused on something.
Right.
When I'm not counting, I just inhale and wait until my body tells me to release. That means I am listening to my body.
Yes.
And so
More
then,
connected.
yes, so then when my body and my breath are more connected, I am more whole. I can go into prayer and hear God, in my opinion, clearer and not
Yeah.
just myself regurgitating what I think I want God to say to me.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I get
Yeah.
up knowing good and well, God ain't say that, right?
Right. 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 Right.
You
That's
want
so
that,
real.
but God did not say that. But it
Yes.
it opens me.
Yeah.
It opens me. So it's that stillness. And I think about other traditions, like where they do yoga and practice
Yeah.
stillness, and how that elevates the consciousness. And I never
Hmm.
quite understood it until this,
Yeah.
because I do it different ways. I have a recliner that I use sometimes. The sitting on a mat on the floor, I had to work myself up to that because my body has
Sure.
been kind of, but it's really impactful. Just the
Yeah.
presence and the hands in the receiving position a lot of times. And I can say in my spirit, I receive, Lord, I receive,
Yeah.
Lord, I receive. And when
Totally.
my brain kind of goes off in some another direction, I just thank my brain and like, okay, that's something that's been bothering me. I didn't even realize it's been sitting
Hmm.
on my neck. And I couldn't really get into prayer because there was something back there that was messing with me that I hadn't dealt
Yeah.
with. But now it's popped up. I can affirm, okay, that's something I need to think about. I'm going to put this right here and come back to the breathing. The physical changes that happen in your body when you're breathing, the increased oxygen load,
Come on. Right.
the expelling the CO2,
Yes.
it helps you manage chronic stress.
Right.
It carries more oxygen rich blood to different parts of your body, including
No
your
doubt.
brain.
No doubt.
So it's, to me, it's clearing away the physical and physiological um, cobwebs
Yeah.
so that my spirit and my body are more one and I can really focus on God.
Right.
If that makes sense. I know it sounds kind of like magical, mystical, and
No.
it's not. It's really, it's the way God has created us.
No, no, that's what I'm saying. You're tapping into design because, as I mentioned earlier, there's so much in our lives. As you were speaking, Lois, I just kept thinking about all the things that have inhibited my prayer life. Like, oh, like I'm trying to pray, but like my kids are watching anime loud in the living room, so I'm hearing that. I'm like, hey, what y'all doing? I get distracted. Oh, I want to pray, but I want to watch this basketball game. I want to pray, but wife and I want to watch this movie. Like all these different things that can slow down the prayer life. Because I stayed up and watched a movie, I won't wake up early the next day, so it compounds. And
It
what you're
does.
talking about is clearing not only those cobwebs externally, but the cobwebs internally as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you have to, it is a commitment. And there's plenty of times I've gone into a breath work practice and
Mm.
it's actually prayer.
Oh, for real.
Like I
For
just need to
real.
be still. She also requires us to practice stillness. So when you finish your breath work practice, you can't just get up and say, okay, I'm done.
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you need to sit for like 10 minutes and not do anything. And sometimes in the training, she made us work our way up to where we could sit for 45 minutes in stillness because we don't practice it. We're always wanting to do. And that was
Always
actually the
moving.
hardest for me.
I believe it.
But in those still moments, talking about hearing from God,
Come
and
on.
sometimes it was just an affirmation of who I am.
That's it. Be
Just a
still and
love,
know.
be still and know.
That's now it's so remarkable what you're talking about because there's probably someone watching this or listening to this. It's like, well, yeah, that's like a foundational or fundamental, but they're not really accounting for in our so on two levels in our culture now how fast everything is moving, and two, for us who've descended from enslaved people and people who survived Jim Crow and colonialism and all kinds of ways in which you've been made to be lesser, sitting still and doing nothing is so looked down upon.
It is. I mean,
It's
from the
idle.
fields, we were we were lazy, even though we were
Yes.
picking all the cotton and the tobacco.
All the cotton, sugar cane,
We
all
were
that stuff. Right.
lazy, and it's been passed down
Yeah.
so that we're working. Like we joke about um, having 2 or 3 jobs. We joke about being Jamaican, having 5 or 6
That's
jobs.
right.
That's why we've been trained,
Yes.
right? Idle hands are the devil's tools,
Come on.
even through our colonized theology. That's a whole other conversation.
Hello.
So, but stillness, in the stillness, I had a minister friend when I was still in Charlotte who was a breast cancer survivor. She's since passed, but she told me that the way she got through it was in breathing in God, breathing with God, breathe. And I didn't
Mm.
understand what she was saying.
Right.
Like the way we breathe. I had the hospital that I was treated at had a whole department around what they call additional therapies. But it's all this taking Eastern knowledge
Come on.
that they've now proven
Come on.
through Western, I'm sorry, it is Western research
Yeah, yeah.
is real because it was about the spirit, which is why they
Yes.
discounted it. The spirit in Western traditions talk a lot about energy, still is spirit. It's the way
Spirit.
we're designed. Talk about design thinking. I
Come
know
on.
we do all of that in human-centered design, but what I have found with Jasmine in this process is a real human-centered design, like
Yeah.
centered on how we are supposed to be, because the world is so crazy,
Mm-hmm.
especially so right now. And the way the powers that be can continue to control us is to make sure we are unregulated,
Come
that we are
on.
getting so much craziness every day
Yes.
that we don't have
Yes.
time to stop and think, because when we stop and breathe, we can think more fully.
Mm-hmm.
We can look at things with a critical lens
Right.
and think about how we pass on healing
Yeah.
in our community, which
Yeah.
I'm in grad school, so I am enthralled with epigenetics. So this is a study of
Let's
passing
go.
on trauma. But
Let's
I say
go.
we can pass on trauma, we can pass on healing.
There it is. Come on.
And I
Yeah.
said, Jasmine Marie, girl, you are teaching me. Because if I can heal myself
Yeah.
by God's grace with this knowledge that she's been researching and studying through all these Black women and
Mm-hmm.
practices, she is phenomenal. She loves good
Yeah.
research and
Oh.
she's doing her own. We can pass on the healing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm taught, Chris, this whole concept of sitting at a table, waiting to be invited to a table. Here's my thing.
Come on.
My ancestors, all the peoples that I come from, have been the keepers of the forest,
Mm-hmm.
tenders, the nurturers
Mm-hmm.
of the forest.
Mm-hmm.
They have been the ones to chop down and take care of the wood only if needed. They have been the ones who
Yeah.
built the tables and the chairs, then made the fire to cook the nourishment to then put on the table. I'm not asking anybody for a seat at a table that my ancestors have nurtured and designed,
Come on.
because that puts me in a position of servitude and not servant leadership, and servitude
Come on.
that takes away my agency, that
Yeah.
keeps me unregulated.
Yes.
My ancestors, our ancestors, were the originators of
Mm-hmm.
human-centered design. If there was a fault in us, and I know we're not perfect, it was always considering and caring for the other.
Mm-hmm.
But now we have been moved such that that has been vilified to a point of servitude
Hello.
and not to be in service. We are called to be in service to each other. But how can I be in service to someone else if I cannot even be in service to myself? If I cannot be
Right.
in a position where I can hear authentically God's voice, where I can sit in the wholeness of who I am and appreciate and honor the breath that I have so that I can praise the Lord, how am I going to be in service to somebody else?
Right. Right.
I'm sorry.
No, no, you gotta let that breathe. No, no, don't apologize. I was gonna say we have to let that breathe, keeping with the theme of the show. You know what I mean? You have to let that breathe. But how can folks get involved? How can people get involved, support, access the work of Black Girls Breathing?
Absolutely. So I don't technically work for Black Girls Breathing. I'm a trained facilitator.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Um, but Jasmine Marie has a website, blackgirlsbreathing.com. If you
Hmm.
go on the website, there are videos you can access. You can join, I think she's relaunching Sunday Balm, which is the Sunday sessions where we come together on the screen and she teaches and the rest and the breathing. There's also a collection of videos you can watch for $9 a month. She's working on actually some sponsorships to make that more accessible because accessibility is really big to her. And she's
Hmm.
also going to relaunch her live sessions in the coming year, where she will have live sessions in some of the major cities, like I think Chicago, Atlanta, DC. But if you go onto her website and sign up, just to be alerted, you can
Hmm.
always get those notifications.
Nice.
You can also buy her book, Black Girls Breathing. She talks about all the things in depth about parasympathetic, sympathetic nervous system, the power of the
Mm.
breathing, what it does, and why it's important. Um, and I highly recommend it. You can
Yeah.
listen to it on audio library. Should have it.
Hmm.
It came out last December, I believe,
Okay.
and I am going to add it now that I am trained in my 100 hours to my coaching repertoire.
Let's go.
So look for that B&B coaching. I'm looking for ways to make it more accessible too. So hopefully I'll be doing some videos here soon because I co-sign with Jasmine's mission. Like anything we can do
Hmm.
to get this out there to help people who may not have had a great experience with breath work before to try this, to
Hmm.
try again and see if this may not work a little better. I'm a believer. It's brought me closer to God.
Hmm.
Um, and it was a gift. Like I said,
Yeah.
my idea was to go in and get trained to help other people. And God said, physician, heal thyself. So I said,
Mm.
sir, yes, sir. Um, and so it's become an important part of my life.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Before I let you go, Loris, what's giving you hope right now in your ministry, in this work, even in the world?
What's given me hope is resistance.
Hmm.
Um, People coming together and starting to remember who we are. So, a collective activism that is taking on the mantle of resistance through the ethic of care.
Hmm.
So, while there are forces that, yes, we have to continue to resist, what I'm seeing and hearing in various communities, Black, Latino, some Jewish communities, some folks I've met, is a care for each other,
Yeah,
a care for our Palestinian brothers and sisters,
no
um,
doubt.
our care. Like I have a sister who has a sister, like in Christ, who is starting a tiny village school out in Oklahoma. Right? She left
Wonderful.
Baltimore and went out, and she and her husband, who's a pastor, but she's seeking to serve, not just to quote unquote save her children. She's thinking about community, and I'm seeing
Right.
more and more of that. Us returning to the earth,
Yeah.
which reminds me of a teaching we did together back in the early days at Trinity. You
Come
remember?
on. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
But that's what's given me hope that in our resistance, we are modeling an ethic of care um, for each other instead of letting um, powers that want to be, is actually what I want to call them, the powers that want to be,
Bars.
control our direction and our relationship. So
Yeah,
that's what's given me hope. Thank you for
love it.
asking.
No, of course. No, thank you for sharing that. Absolutely. This has been such a joy. Just talking with you, and thank you for everything that you're doing and continue to do, and just continued blessings on your journey and on your ministry. You know what I mean?
Always. Same to you, Brother Burton. It's a blessing to still be connected. I'm so
Yes.
thankful for you and Bree and the boys, for all that you have been to me in my life. Um, Thankful for the early days. Thankful we're still here and that we're still
Yes.
connected.
Indeed, indeed. Indeed, indeed. Well, friends, as always, thank y'all so much for watching. You can follow us at Baddest Chaplain on Substack, baddestchaplain.com, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. This will be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any and everywhere where you get podcasts. But until next time, be safe, be kind, and we'll talk to you soon.